more detailed sort of summary. For festival, it's sort of, in some ways, when I'm looking at this now, I'm like, well, we didn't actually, there's not as much about festival. There's these great photos. You can see, well, there's Quincy Jones was here. There's some audience attendees. There's, like from opening night, there's some filmmakers. There's, this was one of the films of the festival with, there's America Ferrara with the film she was in, just some, various people that were here. So the festivals actually, if I look at it now, I'd say we should have had something a little bit more about festivals. We had 700 screenings in the festival that year, 450 films in 85 countries, but we really focus on cinema. And then financials.
I personally, I thought that the photos did a great job of
the
festival part of it, and it was just the package overall was so impressive that it never even occurred to me that there wasn't enough festival there.
Yeah,
it seemed right within everything else.
That's good to hear. I was looking at it, I was like, wow, we really did focus on cinema, but the festival does give you an impression of sort of what happened there. Yeah. And then we drill down to the numbers, which is, a lot of times the financials are quite boring, but this is pretty visual. And I think one call we want to focus is that people, our budget may be around $9.9 million, but 40% of that's in kind, and we might get the story that we still have need because cash pays the bills. In kind, is great, but and if it's something you don't have to, you can back out the cash because you can get it in kind. That actually is a tangible piece, but still you need to pay people with money. So that's sort of, we wanted to sort of call that we get so much in kind, and also look at where else we get our support. And then we looked at their expenses, which is interesting because we raised about $500,000 in for the Egyptian campaign, so that's why the expenses were 8.5. So the other 500,000 was for the Egyptian opening. And then there's our board members. There's a list of our board members, and the last part's really call to action as far as if people want to join, become a member, or donate, and some more general information. But it's much more streamlined than the previous year. The previous year we listed all of our donors, whether they get $25 or up. I mean, we included more information. I guess this, we compare, and I can show you last year's. I think the biggest aha moment for me is like less is more. So we condensed, became more concise, and really it allows us to tell our story well, and also tell it in a way that people related to it and really read it. Because I guess, most annual reports, a lot of people don't actually make it all the way through. And with this one, I feel, it seems like from the people we got, that people actually read the whole thing, or at least glanced through all the way to the end. So that's my quick overview. Do you want, I can show you quickly I can share the last year's if you want to look at that really.
Well, let's check and see if anyone wants to ask a question now before we do that, if anyone has questions.
I like to ramble, so yes, ask some questions.
So far, not any questions, but I mean, I don't know if maybe you could just talk about like the impetus here and what the impetus for this and what you were hoping to achieve.
Well, the goal is to tell the story of the organization, and also to provide sort of a map for what happened in the past year, and also to help people feel good about where they gave their money, because majority of, and although 75% of our money comes from ticket sales, I mean, there's 25% is from donors, individuals, members, and that's significant. So it's really, it's the idea, I think, for us as a nonprofit is to be transparent, show people what we've done, answer questions as far as where we spent money, and what we did and achieved in terms of the organization for our mission, and what our sort of vision and our long range plans are. And for this year, it was really to celebrate the milestones of saving 2 longtime movie theaters that are great neighborhood movie theaters that have also been part of the festival, and also to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the festival. So those were I think that's sort of the 3 pieces. It's festival, cinema, organization, and then sort of to give sort of people an understanding of exactly what happened in total for the organization.
Was the idea internal, or was there some pressure from the board to do this, or
well, this is we haven't been doing annual reports for like this for many years. So I think this is the third year that we've done an annual report in this way, where we made it in a PDF or an online format. So over the last 3 years, we've refined it, and this year I think we really found the sweet spot with it, of something that really works.
Anissa has a question. So she said, sorry if I missed this, but was this a print and email piece or only email? Was there a printing cost? Also, what's the mailing list size and how much board input, or was it a mainly staff project? That's a lot of pieces. I can repeat.
Yeah. So it mainly was a staff project, not a huge amount of board input, but mainly a staff project. Our board president was involved in sort of just looking at it in terms of the overview. What was the other part?
There was no print component of this, right?
No, there's no print component, and we found that, you know, in the past we've done a postcard, but really this was designed to be seen actually not even as an email, but as an interactive piece. So you actually, you know, go to this website at our website, and then it lives there, and that's where you interact with it. We did email it out to basically all of our constituents, so that's probably, you know, and then also a larger list of industry. And so we went wider with it this year. So I think we probably sent out to more than close to 100,000 people. So like all of our members, all of our donors, all the people on our list. You know, we have a weekly list that goes out to about 50,000 in the greater Seattle area, and plus people throughout the country, and then a larger industry list. And so that was sort of so it went wide. I think that's also the part we wanted to sort of spread, not only awareness in Seattle, but also also to provide a bit of organizational awareness outside of Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's, you know, one of the things that I loved about this piece is that, you know, it told such a great story about your organization, but it also focused down to the level of like highlighting a specific volunteer, and that it you know, I think anyone who reads it kind of feels, you know, good about what you guys are doing. Now, what kind of advice would you give to other festivals if they were planning on doing something like this in terms of data collection, or what they should seek out in a tech partner who they might try to build this with? Any kind of, you know, hands-on advice?
Well, there is a lot of data collection, and so it's good to sort of, you know, have that when you're working with a designer, to have that all up front. I think the thing that works best also is to refine your message. So make sure, you know, especially if we're working with someone pro bono and they're donating their time, to make sure that you have all of your pieces together and, you know, ready, so that you're not as much focused on editing the content. You know exactly what, you know, pieces you want in there, but then it's more about the design and how the message is being received versus, you know, fine tuning a lot of stuff. So I mean, that helps. I think we streamlined that quite a bit. And we also learned this time where we probably spent more time on it this time than the designer and the creative outfit had anticipated. And, you know, thankfully they were willing to work with us on that. But in terms of, I don't know, I think for next year, we're gonna narrow it down even further in terms of making sure we're more prepared. So I don't think, in some ways, you know, I'm always self-critical. We weren't as prepared as we would have liked to have been, but and there's a lot of information to put together, and it's a progression. I think I might just show sort of what the other one, just so you can sort of see what we did to change it to make it a little more dynamic. Let's see. I'm just trying to get my computer to work. Let's see. So new share. Let's see. So I'll share it. So this one, it's somewhat similar in terms of, this is a PDF, so it's more flat. But if you go through it, you know, it's more like a traditional page. So there's page one, page two of the contents, including films that we showed in the festival or in the cinema. There's a letter, but you can see it's not, even starting out, it's not as dynamic. It looks more like a traditional board. We also put a lot of things at the front that we end up putting, we put board of directors and some of that stuff farther back, you know, for this year. we included way more information, which this is a little bit is great information, but it's a little bit overwhelming in terms of how much is here and where where do you look. It's sort of your eyes taking a lot of different places. Where in this year's report, it's in each section is pretty pretty focused as far as where we want you to sort of look. But the foundation was there, so this is you can sort of see how we it wasn't completely different than previous year. We have call outs from like here's a a major donor highlight, here's a a volunteer spotlight, here's there's a member spotlight, and here's like a look at a corporation spotlight. Last year the year before we focused on HBO. Then we also focus on community partners. So we found we put the pieces together. So we sort of looked at who our constituents were, who would be great, advocates for the organization. And we found within volunteers someone who that year we had a connection with, we thought would be a great story. We found a donor who has been, who would be a great sort of, someone who would appreciate getting recognition and also had a nice story to tell. So same with us, we looked at our sponsor roster and what sponsor might be nice to, highlight. I'll granted, like the following year, HBO didn't come back in as big a way as they had the previous year. So, but see here, you can see that we have way more listings of like individual donors, which is nice for those people, but it doesn't really doesn't make you want to continue. Once you get into all this text, all these names, this goes on and on and on and on. And then at the very end, we have sponsors, community partners. Then there's like a bit more, it's interesting. In the new one, we didn't really list any staff other than the leaders of the organization. So we really just listed the artistic director, the managing director, and the president of the board. And then we did list the entire board after. But and then here there's the change in the end is there's no call to action at the end.
Right.
Which, there's some information, but that's, so that you can sort of see that it's an evolution. So we didn't just create this from scratch. We took sort of last year's and looked at how, and I think the brilliance of this firm, which I'd recommend if people are, it's Thomas Creative Solutions, is that they took what we had done the previous year and really consolidated it and helped us vision it in a way that really is palatable to a wide audience.
So did you do an actual creative brief, or did you just give him the year before and then they came back to you with their recommendations?
Yeah, really we didn't do a creative brief for this project other than we had some major milestones in terms of the acquisition of the cinemas and the Egyptian campaign, and then the 40th anniversary of the festival. And then as far as the creative, he really pulled from the creative of campaign of the festival in terms of sort of the graphic design as far as the beginnings of it. So we sort of rolled that all into sort of organizational milestones.
And what has the reaction been this year? Did you talk a little? Can you go into a little bit about what kind of feedback you've gotten? Sorry, did you already say
99%. We only had one comment from someone who said they would give us more money once we were more transparent with our numbers, which I don't know what that meant, but they wanted more details in the financials. But I think that if you can GuideStar our 1099 and or you can GuideStar our 990, and so I think those people you give more information to. I don't think that was overall, we've been sort of surprised by how many people have been commenting on it and getting back to us. So it's actually been great. We've also, right now, we're in our annual sort of giving campaign, a phone campaign, and we're doing better than we ever have before. So I think it's also helped in terms of when we're going back out and asking people for money for support, to support the mission and the organization as far as the festival, cinema, and also the educational work, which we do using film as an educational tool. We're getting tremendous response in terms of donors when we're asking them for money. So that's actually I think a benefit and of this report, is that actually people feel like we have given them lots of information. We've told a great story. We've been successful, and people like to give to that.
And on your end, you can track and see who's clicks on what, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell
Yeah.
what your numbers and your viewing are. Like when you send it to someone's home, you don't know if it goes straight into recycling or if they ever look at it.
So
So
we have Google Analytics on our website, and this is part of our website that gives us a report of like who's seeing it and how many people are looking at it and all that. So I mean, normally when you send something like this out, you don't get that many email responses. So that was the biggest change, that we just got lots of people emailing us saying this is a great report. A lot of our stakeholders really liking it, but it's also
Let's be
translating.
clear, no one reads annual reports.
Right.
That's the thing. They're the thing that you hide on your website somewhere because you have to. And there's just
right. I mean, your one from last year is beautiful, but it's not. But you don't know whoever even looked at it. But
Yeah, let me reshare the other one. Put that one away. So, yeah, I mean, I think the other ones I found interesting were the Walker. I think the Walkers always had an interesting report, but then they would send out a postcard, and then you could link to their, annual report. And let me show one other thing. I'll also share this. Let's where a new share. Let me do that. This is the company that designed it. It's Thomas Creative Solutions. So they have that, you can sort of see from their main home splash page that they, you can sort of get a sense that what they do translated directly into what they created for us.
right.
So this is really, they mostly have worked, done more commercial work, but they really translated well for what they've done for-profit, organizations into the nonprofit realm.
had they done? Sorry, did you say this? Had they done an annual report before?
They hadn't done an annual report for nonprofit before, no.
Okay.
So no.
And so, did you say that he had been a participant in the festival?
Yeah, he's been a member and a longtime festival fan. So it's just part of our family within the organization of people that appreciate what we've been doing and sort of the direction of the organization.
Great.
So I keep forgetting to look at the camera, but.
Okay, I do too.
Are there any questions out there from our group?
I'm trying to think if I made some notes. Let me see if I said everything. But if anyone has any questions.
I know, Jody, do you have that list that you had made in front of you, or I don't know if that
I think that we did everything. We asked how long it took to create, and you kind of did that. You said who you used.
Yeah, I mean the biggest feedback we got from Cliff was that we were prepared, but we need to be more prepared. We had, we probably had too many people giving feedback. We had too many back and forth changes. So, but now that we have it set, I think it's going to be very streamlined for the next year. So it'll be similar in concept, but it'll have maybe a few new bells and whistles. But I think we distilled it down. If you look at the previous years, the biggest thing is that we really got rid of a lot of information, not information that's essential, but just by really being focused, I think people are going to pay attention and really, including the most important details. If people want more information, they can contact us and we can give them more information.
Right.
So you could gather.
Well, I don't feel like we left anything out, but we didn't. And this is a choice. We didn't list every single person that gave us, $25, and we didn't really list. We listed sort of the high-end donors that gave to the Egyptian that helped us raise $500,000 to reopen it, and that was really our focus as far as donors.
Right.
And you only had one guy really complain about the transparency, so it wasn't.
Yeah, and I think it was just more of a snide comment, because if someone wants more information, they can contact us and we can provide them what they want.
So Aaron has a question. Do you list the donors on your website somewhere else?
Well, we do. I mean, we do recognize donors through various normal ways, other than the annual report. So they're in our catalog, our printed catalog that comes out for the festival. We do recognize people on the website through various programs. So, I mean, donors are very, in terms of, we recognize them based on what, what they requested and what we promised in terms of, the donation for specific programs. So if you give to the annual campaign, or if you just make an annual gift as a donor, or if you're a member, or if you gave to a specific campaign for the Egyptian theater, there's various ways they're recognized at the physical locations. I mean, we have a donor wall at our SIF Film headquarters, the SIF Film Center. So there's a huge wall with donors listed as well. People who are friends of SIF that make a 3-year commitment to our Friends of SIF program are listed on our wall and have visibility. Some people that get recognized with a slide before film screenings, right before the film show, so if they're sponsoring, so it just depends. But I think that donors that want that kind of recognition, I don't think the annual report didn't really need to be, we didn't need to have them there unless that was something that we had promised, and that wasn't something that we had promised to our donors. Or you could put it at the very end as a sort of a link, maybe. Maybe that would be something we look at. If you want to see a list of donors, click here, and it would take you to another area.
So I think that one of the things that we're constantly struggling with, or wanting to make sure that we cover our bases, is a lot of people are working at very small festivals that don't have the kinds of budgets that a lot of us festivals that we work at have. And so I guess I just maybe wanted your take on, if the festival is very small, how much do you think this is really going to give powerful ROI on this? If you did something like invested something like this, or are there smaller scale ways to do it, or is this just, I think this gives us a lot of good ideas for how you could do something maybe not as fancy, but.
Right. Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me to impart is that there are probably great people in your community that would be willing to help you. So we didn't actually, we didn't spend, to be honest, we spent a lot of staff time, but, this didn't actually cost us actual dollars other than hosting their website. So we found someone who was willing to work with us on a pro bono basis, that loved the mission and what we're doing, and was willing to, help us further our our aim. So you never know who's out there. I mean, the volunteer who might be, in the old days, I remember, one of our largest donors started out as being a volunteer who helped us copy variety reviews.
We have a volunteer like that at the Hamptons Film Festival too. She's great.
So,
yeah.
You never know. So so you have to look to your constituents. So you look to your part of the reason why we highlight highlight volunteers, highlight sponsors, highlight members, highlight each sort of constituency of the organization, is that everyone is giving a different way, and there's vast resources. As a nonprofit sort of arts and cultural organization, there's a lot of people that want to help us succeed. So it's great to sort of see who out there in the community, putting a call out to see who might help. And in this case, this came specifically from our development director, who had a relationship with Cliff from a previous job, and reached out and they offered to help us with this.
Can you flip your screen back just so we're on the annual report and on?
Yeah, which one are you on right now?
You see the annual report. The TCS solution.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I see some new people joining, so I just want to make sure we're showing what's what.
Yeah. Got it?
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool.
So do you guys have any more questions? I'm going to ask the group again.
Otherwise, I can just make the eye go around in circles.
And so I guess people can see right there and see the URL, right? Can you see that, or should I type?
If you can also Google just the SIF 2014 annual report, but it's just at sif.net/annual report.
Yeah. If you guys click more at the top and do original size, you'll see it bigger screen, so you can see what that is.
I don't know if I can post that.
No, it's fine. It's not hard to do, but I think this has been great.
Yeah, does anyone have other specific questions? I feel like I've given an overview, but I don't know if there's any more tactical answers. I mean, it's interesting.
What did you learn this year that you would do differently next year? Is there anything that you have? Are you already have your thinking cap on for next year? I'm assuming.
I think the struggle was as to how to. I would rethink maybe some of the financial information. How do we show need? Because there is need in this one. It doesn't necessarily. The numbers show that it looks like we actually made $500,000 in excess income, even though that money is restricted. So it's actually we actually zeroed out. And I think a little bit more on the festival, even though I think that we probably would focus a bit more on the festival in the next year, just because the cinema. If you look at festival, see right here, basically it's just those three. You don't actually get the attendance. The attendance of the festival is over 150,000, so that was left out. So we really focused on cinema and then wrapped it around the 40th anniversary of the festival. But I might include a bit. I don't know. I mean, I like how it's just so short and concise in terms of each area. There's not too much information. So no, I'm hoping that Cliff is going to do it again next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do you think it's easier
if not, we have a great template. So it's
I was going to say, is a template like malleable so you can change it for next year?
But it is actually, the other thing is that this site, it's mobilized, so it actually does look great if you call up on your phone. You can look at it in different ways. You can also, if you enter like the reader view, it makes it just text.
Interesting.
So I mean, you can look at it in this is sort of the flat format, which is not as exciting, but it's still, it's still sort of the same. So
yeah,
it's not as dynamic though.
Right. So I feel badly for those late joiners. We're gonna have to send around the recording for you because we've basically gone through everything at this point.
Right.
So.
But it's not a print piece. I know that was answered now, but it's just an online piece, and it's made on. And the great thing about the design is it works on all devices. So whether you were seeing it on the phone, iPad, a Kindle, or a big screen tower with a computer, it works in all formats. So that was really the other thing that was really nice. It's not a PDF.
It's the future.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yes, for those of you who came late, we will get this up onto YouTube and circulate that very soon. So thanks to all of you for joining us. And Jody, do you want to do a little plug for IFP Film Week before we go?
Yeah, so basically we have 3 upcoming things.
Oh, 3, yeah.
In August 14th and 15th, there is the Art House Convergence Regional Seminar in Boston that also encompasses a tour of the art houses around Boston, and it's just a nice time if you happen to be in that region in August. And then we are going to be at Independent Film Week in New York again in September. It starts on the 20th, I believe. Film Week starts, and we're going to be towards the end of the week, Wednesday and Thursday. And we've sent out a few different missives on that, and we'll send out more. And then, of course, we have Art House Convergence again in January. So you will be hearing from us quite a bit for those 3 events.
And if you want more information, it's on ifpfestivalforum.com for now. And I don't know if you want to talk about Film Festival Alliance or just let that simmer a little bit.
No, I'm working on the website, and as soon as we move everything from the old website to the new website, and we'll be able to kind of rebrand. It'll happen before or during Film Week. Okay,
so IFP Film Week is September 20th to 25th, but the festival specific programming, if you just wanted to come to New York for a couple of days, as Jody said, it's Wednesday Wednesday evening probably, and then Thursday. Is that how it's going to be? Yeah.
I'll be there. I'm coming this year I'm coming out, so I'm looking forward to it.
Great. I can't wait. It's fun. So, All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care. Okay. And thanks
Okay.
to Chris for hosting this
Yeah.
on Zoom. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I hope this is
Okay.
helpful, and enjoy your day.
Yeah,
All
it was
right.
great. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.